Watch out!
It's been way too long. Yeah, it's been a while. And not just for myself having been too sick for the past, month to make any videos, but also since we've gotten a Pokemon Presents, or any news related whatsoever to Pokemon Legends EA, or even other things like when the heck Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness are going to be brought officially to the NSO. There are so many things. And actually, I'm going to be completely real with you guys for a minute. I completely forgot there's a new Pokemon game coming out. I know, you guys think I'm crazy because I literally make content on it all the time, but with DK Bonanza and also being sick and a few other things, I just forgot about it. I did. And now all of a sudden there's a Pokemon Presents tomorrow? Well, I kind of feel lucky that I forgot until now, so I feel very surreal about the entire situation. I'm excited. Believe me, you wouldn't be seeing me right now if I wasn't, because I still kind of feel like hot garbage. Woo! Okay, yeah. So, we've been in yet another drought when it comes to Pokemon Legends EA news. We got a bunch of trailers back-to-back a couple months ago, and then, once again, radio silence. Those trailers revealed so much, yet so little, if I'm being honest. I've even had a sneaking suspicion that there's some major surprises to be had with the game that Game Freak isn't and probably might not even still show us until it's out and we are playing through it. The suspicion of mine was confirmed when my friends who follow the data mines and leaks on ZA reaffirmed that, indeed, there is some huge surprises that I'll supposedly fall in love with. That's super exciting and we're going to talk about that more in a bit, but it's important to remember these Pokemon Presents aren't just focused on the new mainline game. There are other games and releases, both that we know are coming, those we don't, and that Pokemon Company will cover. So let's start by talking about those. First, as a warm-up, I bet we'll get news on either one or both of the film productions for Pokemon that we know are in development, Detective Pikachu 2 and Pokemon Concierge. More likely the latter, since it's been included in the Pokemon Presents in the past, and we're coming up soon on the release of Season 2. Now, I loved both of these productions personally. Detective Pikachu was surprisingly ambitious, epic, and full of wonder. The scale of the scenario and scenes was much larger than I expected, and I was pretty blown away, even if the story itself wasn't much to write home about. The spectacle still consumed me. Pokemon Concierge had a similar surprising effect on me, even though it's a very different production. Initially, I was creeped out by the claymation style in the first teaser photo, but once subsequent trailers came up and I saw it in motion, I became a bit more optimistic. Fast forward to when the show finally released, and I think I can safely say we all collectively laughed and cried over how adorable and heartfelt the story ended up being. I really loved this show. And look, no one can deny, the theme song was a bop. On top of that, the main character was surprisingly relatable, and the Pokemon were more endearing than I could have ever imagined. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you watch Season 1 before Season 2 comes out, and get excited for it. Now, back to the games. We actually have 2 more Pokemon games coming to Nintendo Switch 2 soon that we haven't talked about enough. Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness. Both of these games are beloved by the fan base and celebrated critically. For good reason too. Now, I personally have only played Coliseum out of these 2, and I absolutely was in love with it when it came out. The world building, the darker story, the ex-villain main character, the Gen 2 representation, the broken traditions from mainline Pokemon's formula, the music, the gritty art style, the focus on difficult double battles. Boy, I can't convince you enough how good this game is, even by modern standards. From what I hear, XD Gale of Darkness is just as good, though it's considered either better or worse ever so slightly depending on who you ask. For me, I'm sad to see the grittier side of the setting go, but the game does look better balanced, and it even has more obtainable Pokemon within the story, so who can say no to that, am I right? Oh, and lest we forget, Shadow Lugia. One of the coolest Pokemon forms ever made, if I do say so myself. Now, Coliseum and Gale of Darkness were created by a network of Sony employees that were hired to make a more adult Pokemon game, and it shows in every single way. The games are more challenging and thought out, the setting and story tackles darker themes, and the overall polish of the game is buttery smooth and fresh. I have a feeling we're going to see the release date for when these are arriving on the Switch 2's NSO GameCube in the Presents, and wow, that was a mouthful. Take 2. And when these are arriving on the Switch 2's NSO GameCube in the Presents, and I'd even wager that they'll end the announcement by saying something along the lines of, available later today, or after the presents. If not, then I imagine the release date shouldn't be too far forward from now. Either way, I'm excited. Pokemon Champions might also get a spotlight again. I hope they actually explain the systems and show some more exciting footage, because currently this just looks and feels like a we had to do this against our will type of release. You know what I mean? Just so competitive Pokemon can find a permanent home amid Pokemon's rapid release schedule. This will also allow Game Freak to experiment with new combat systems more in mainline, even outside of the Legends series. They'll no longer be confined by the standards of maintaining new competitive scenes for every generational release. So in that way, yes, it's a smart idea and it had to be done, but regardless, Champions still looks visually very bland. And if it's just a battle simulator, then Game Freak absolutely needs to overhaul their entire battle presentation game to at least match Pokemon Battle Revolution. I mean, come on, that came out, what, 2 decades ago? This is just shameful to have to compare them, and the modern game looks worse. All right, but back to the positive news. You can't talk Pokemon spin-offs without discussing the possibility of a new one showing its face, or another return of a fan-favorite spin-off series. My favorite choices would obviously be Pokepark 3, Mystery Dungeon 2 Remake, or a new Mystery Dungeon altogether. I know a lot of you also love Ranger. I'd also be down for a new Pokemon Snap game, or Conquest, or, I don't know, something that's not just some mobile game ported to Switch. I do think it's too soon for a new spin-off game to be revealed right now, though, with all the previous games we mentioned earlier in the video already confirmed to be releasing. But the possibility isn't zero for something else to get revealed tomorrow, so it's worth mentioning just in case. Either way, the biggest thing we'll definitely see in this Presents is more footage and reveals for Pokemon Legends EA, obviously. I think, if we're being realistic, the most likely feature we'll witness are new Mega forms of Pokemon. Just a few, not a whole lot. And I know I'm the weird one over here for saying this, but I hope this isn't all they show, because I don't really care about Mega Evolution all that much. I know, you guys do, you really do. But hear me out. The only reason I'm not excited for Megas returning is because I know they're just gonna get scrapped again in future Pokemon games. Like, we'll see them in this game, but then never again, or at least not for another long time. Like, guys, please don't forget, it's been a decade almost since we've had Megas in our games, so I really hope I'm excused for just being not excited for new Mega forms. In which case, we could see another major aspect of the game revealed. Last time was the ZA Royale. That takes place after Nightfall, but what other surprises are lurking in the city of Lumiose? I will stand by the huge possibility of an underground awaiting for us to explore, but I also don't think Game Freak will reveal that before release, much like Tears of the Kingdom didn't reveal its underground before that game came out. If that doesn't get shown off in the trailer, then maybe we'll catch a glimpse of how side quests function. Side quests in Legends Arceus were some of the most enjoyable parts of it. They aided in world building, storytelling, and were just plain pretty fun to accomplish. The rewards were usually pretty good too. A major side quest that might get shown off in the Presents is the Zygarde Cell Search. We already know we'll be collecting pieces of Zygarde, but we don't know to what end, so perhaps the story elements for that might finally be explained? Matter of fact, we really don't know much about the story at all, so any glimpse into what kind of world we're getting ourselves into will be appreciated and is very possible to be shown off. Literally all we know so far is that we're a tourist visiting the city. Zygarde takes some sort of liking to us, and Quasartico is the center of the city's functions, but like, what else? How does all that add up together? I'm curious to see. We also might finally catch a glimpse of any Switch 2 exclusive content that might be available for ZA. This could range anywhere between exclusive outfits to exclusive modes, or even exclusive Pokemon. Game Freak is no stranger to these sorts of gatekeeping, so I expect there to be something, though the question of what exactly still fills my mind. There's definitely more possibilities for what's going to get shown off next week, but why don't you guys fill in the blanks for that in the comment section? Please tell us what you think we'll see and why. I'd love for us all to discuss this together. Afterwards, check out more of my videos like this one here, where I discuss what kinds of exclusive content we might see in Legends EA's Switch 2 version, aside from the ones I just mentioned in this video. The link's right in front of you and in the pinned comment. If you like what I do and want to support me, then join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description. I've been JotoJohnny, and I'll catch you all there.